Hey everybody, welcome back. Johnny B here with devslopes.com, continuing on with our Smack chat app. This is where we left off in our last video. We worked on our channel VC UI. We got pretty far actually. We created that sweet gradient view. Things are looking pretty good. Wanted to do a little bit of work on this table view before we continue on to our next view that we're going to work on, which is going to be the login view. So let's hurry up and do that real quick. We got a lot to cover in this video, so let's see if we can get through it all. All right, so first off, I wanted to change a couple things here. You see here in the simulator, we have these lines, so I'm going to get rid of those. So here under separator, I'm going to say none. So that's with the table view selected, select separator, none. All right, so that's the first thing we're going to do. And then I'm going to make sure that our background is clear, so that's good. And I think that might be all we need to do right here. Let's go ahead and add a table view cell. So I'm just going to write in cell and drop in a table view cell here. All right, so that looks good. And the height is probably good. So this is actually the cell portion right here. And I'm going to go ahead and throw in a label right here. Hello, where are you at? There you are. All right, so dropping in a label right here. And let's go ahead and change, well, first let's change the table view cell background color. So that's right here. I'm gonna change that to a clear color. There we go. That looks better. Then we can grab our label here and let's change the font color to white. The font to custom and Helvetica new. That looks good. And I'm just going to change this to hashtag general. All right, and then I'm going to grab that and add some constraints. So I'm going to say 20 from the left, and I'm going to center that vertically in its container. All right, so that looks good. All right, so I'm going to save this and run it and just make sure that looks all right. We won't actually see any thing right here with the prototype cells because we haven't set any of that up inside of the view controller. But yeah, all right, so that looks good. All right, so now we're going to continue on to the login VC. So I'm just going to pull up our designs right here. So this is what we want it to look like. We got a cancel button here at the top, the logo and the name of the app. A couple of text fields to enter in the username and password, a login button, and a second button that says don't have an account, sign up here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get going on that. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to add in a new view controller. All right, so there we go. And we are going to segue from this channel VC controller to this one right here. So I'm going to hold down Control and just drag over and select Show. Okay, so this is just creating a generic segue from this view controller to this one. All right, so I'm going to save that, and then we need to be able to trigger that view controller change from this button right here. So we're going to need to go ahead and add an IB action for this button here. So I'm going to hold down Option and click on, let's see here, that's channel VC. And then down here, I'm going to control drag from login button over here to the channel VC.swift file. And this is going to be an action. And we're going to name this login button pressed. I'm going to say connect. And while we're here, we're actually going to need an outlet for this eventually. So I'm going to create our little outlets section. And I'm just going to go ahead and create an outlet button for this right now as well. So it's still an outlet. We're going to call this login button. And the reason we are going to need an outlet for this is because we're going to need to change the title of the login button when we're actually logged in. And instead of showing login, we're going to display the user's name. All right, so that's good. All right, so we created this segue. Now to trigger it programmatically, what we need is I'm gonna go ahead and just dismiss the assistant editor, come back here, I'm gonna click on the segue, and we need an identifier for it. So we can say when we press this button, perform a segue with this particular identifier. And that identifier, we're going to call it toLogin. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. And we use, in our practice, we generally put these types of strings in a constants file. All right, so I'm going to create a new group over here. I'm going to say, right click on the smack folder, say new group, and I'm going to call this I'm going to call this new group utilities. And I'm going to right click and say new file. And it's going to be just a Swift file. Say next. I'm going to call this constants. Okay, then right here I'm going to make a little section for segues. I'm going to say let toLogin, and we generally use caps to denote constants, and that's going to be toLogin. And Xcode 9, if you select something and do quotation marks, it automatically puts it inside of quotation marks for you. All right, so I'm going to save that and jump back over to our channel VC. And here where we created our IB action for the login button pressed. So what's going to happen when we push that login button? We want to segue to our login VC. So pretty simple. All we got to do is say perform segue with identifier. The identifier is that one that we just created, to_login, and the sender is nil. And we're going to save that, and that should do it. So I'm going to run it. And we're going to open this up and click on login and a blank. There we go. All right, so this is the login VC. Totally blank right now. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's jump back over here to our storyboard. And what do we need to do? We already looked at it. We need some buttons. We need a button here, here, and here. We have our logo, label, 2 text fields, and some divider views. All right. Let's go ahead and get cracking on that. I'm going to start with our labels. Okay, so I'm just going to, what I like to do is kind of just throw everything up on the board and then start refining and adding constraints as we go along. All right, so we're going to need an image view. So I'm going to drop an image view in here. Just going to resize that to the general size. I'm going to set the image, and that is smack logo. All right, right there. We got a button, a few buttons. One up here, which is our close button. One down here, which is our login button. And then our, if you don't have an account, you can create an account button. Then we have a couple of text fields, to enter in our username and password, of course. Okay, so that's our username one. There's our password one. And then we got these, pull this over here, we got these dividers here. So we're gonna do a little bit, we're just gonna do it simply. We're just gonna use a couple of UI views in there. So I'm gonna say UI view right here. And put you right here. And we'll go ahead and change the background color right away so we don't lose it. And that background color, let me pull it up right here, is, let's see here. So with the view controller selected, I'm going to click right here. I'm going to put in a hex. That hex is 5B9FC. I'm going to press return, and now when we click up here on any colors, that's going to be under our recently used colors. Okay, so that's going to be useful. All right, so that's going to be one of our dividers. Then I'm just going to hold Option and drag to make a copy of that, and there we go. All right, so there's all of our elements. Doesn't look like much right now, I know, so let's go ahead and start refining our design here. So this guy right up here, this is an image, so we can get rid of the text and go ahead and go ahead and add an image for it. So this is going to be this is our close button image, and that's gonna be right here. Let's see, right, yeah, right there. All right, so let's go ahead and constrain that one. So it's gonna be 8 and 0 with the constraint to margins checked. Then over here, this guy's size is 48 by 40. Okay, so that looks a little nicer. And you may notice these blue outlines on all of our elements. That's just a Xcode 9 beta bug that I've been getting. Normally you would be able to get rid of that by coming over here and clicking on show bounds rectangles, but that's not fixing it, so just a bug. All right, so this guy right here, that's gonna say smack. Man, my computer is being really slow. All right, so smack, and we're gonna change the font to custom and Helvetica new. Let's make this bold, and let's bump that up to say 19. All right, I'm gonna grab that, press Command equal to get it to the right size. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then this color, if I click here and then come over here and grab my font color, so come back here. All right, so this one is 4254B9. Press enter, and now this color is also going to be in our recently used. All right, so when you see me jump over here and grab one of these for future UI elements, that's where these colors come from. Okay, for instance, right now if we come here to our login button down here, I can let's see here, change the background color to this blue right here. Okay, and change the text color to white, change the font to custom Helvetica new, 17 is good, but let's make you bold and say done. Then we're gonna add some sizes to you. So width is gonna be 250 and the height is going to be 50. Okay. And so let's go ahead and fix these two dividers here. We're gonna say width of 250 and a height of 2. All right, and then these guys are also gonna be width of 250, 250, and let's get rid of the borders on these. So with both of those text fields selected, I'm gonna come over here and right here, border style, do none. We're going to change the color to that purple that we added, and I'm going to change the system font to custom and Helvetica new. I'm going to say regular is fine, and then we're going to change give it a placeholder text right here. For the first one, we're going to say user name. And for this one, we're going to say password. And since it's a password, if we come down here to the this checkbox here, secure text entry, that will make it so that when we enter stuff, it'll just be those black dots. All right, so that's good. And now let's do this button down here. So what's this say? That says don't have an account, sign up here. Alrighty, so my computer was running super slow, so I just had to do a restart. So hopefully it's working a little bit better now. So left off here, getting ready to fix this last button. So I'm gonna press Command equal to get that up to the right size. Gonna change the text color to that light blue color we're using. Gonna change the font to custom and Helvetica new, and drop this down to 12 size. So that looks good. All right, so everything is looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and start adding constraints. So for these two, I'm gonna go ahead and add constraints for the width and height. And then I'm gonna grab it and this smack label right here, and I'm gonna throw those into a stack view by clicking down here in Embed and Stack. And then I'm going to give that spacing of 12. And then I'm going to, whoops, with the stack view selected, constrain it 60 from the top and center it. So center it horizontally in container. There we go. Then for these guys right here, the username and their divider lines, I'm going to embed in a stack, those four. And for some reason it decided to put them in a horizontal stack, which is not what we want. So right here we want a vertical stack. All right, and we want it to be aligned to leading, and we want this to actually be right here. Wow, that really messed that up. Not inside the view. There we go. Whew, hopefully yours did not mess that up so badly. And for some reason, it doesn't like it in stack views when these UI views are bigger than 50. So we're gonna have to constrain to a height of 2 and a width of 250. And we'll go ahead and constrain the two text fields also to the width of 250. All right, and then we're going to give it spacing of 14. And that's starting to look a little better. Now we're gonna go ahead and constrain it. So I'm gonna set it in the center, so horizontally in container, and then we're going to pin it 40 from the this stack view right here. It's gonna say add one constraint, so that looks good. Everything's nice and blue now here, so our constraints are good. And then this guy I'm gonna drag up here, and we're going to constrain it horizontally in its container. And we're gonna need to add some constraints on it. So for width and height, the width is gonna be 250 and the height is 50, so that looks good. And then we're also going to constrain it 40 from the bottom of the stack view above it. And then for this button here, I'm gonna give it some width and height and set it 0 from the button above it. So it's right snug under it. And we need to also horizontally constrain it. So that looks good. All right, so there we go. That's coming together now. So it went from a hodgepodge of just UI elements scattered all over, and then you just kind of go through and you know, like a craftsman, just kind of refine it and craft it into what you want it to look like. All right, so let's go ahead and open up our simulator here and see how it looks. So I'm going to click here on our menu, click on login, and hey, there we go. All right, and last thing we're going to do in this video is just make it so that when we click on this, it gets dismissed. All right, so to do that, we're going to need a view controller file for this particular view. So I'm going to say here controller, I'm going to say new file, and this is going to be a Cocoa Touch class. I'm going to say next, and subclass of UI view controller. And this is going to say, we're going to call this login VC. I'm going to say next and create. And then I'm going to hold down Option and click on Main to get us back over here. So with the assistant editor open, well, first I need to change the class for this view controller, right? So I'm going to come up here to its identity inspector and change the class to the new view controller file that we just created called login VC. So now we can add outlets and IB actions and that kind of stuff. Over here in the login VC file, I'm just kind of deleting some of this stuff we don't use. And right here, I'm going to add an IB action for this button right here. So I'm going to control drag over, and I'm going to say close pressed. I'm going to say action and say connect. And all we have to do here is just say dismiss. And we're going to say for animated, we're going to say yes, true. And then for completion, we're going to say nil. All right, I'm going to save that and run it. And here we go. I'm going to click on the menu button, click login, and pops up, looks real great. Yeah, everything, except for that. Oh, we got our username and password field mixed up. So we'll fix that. But let's see if this dismisses, and it does indeed. So that's looking real good. Let's go ahead and fix this real quick. All right, so there we go, main.storyboard. And this actually illustrates something that I love about stack views. So if we had messed this up with just regular constraints, we would have to remove the constraints for each of these, put them back in, try to get it all worked out. But here, all we have to do is just kind of drag this down here and then drag this up here. And the stack view handles everything else for us. So that's really nice. All right, so I think we're good on this video. We set out to create our login VC, and we have definitely done that. We got all of the UI elements. We're able to segue to it and dismiss it. Obviously, we haven't gotten to the point where we can like actually enter username and passwords and this should say login. There we go. And actually log in, because we don't have any of the API stuff set up. But right now, you know, we kind of need to get the UI set up so that we can make some meaningful progress on the code side of things as well. But yeah, we're making some good progress. So I'm going to go ahead and just add, make some commits for our progress here. Since I restarted the computer, I'm going to have to cd back into our repo. So I'm going to say cd desktop and then cd smack. Say git status. See all the changes we made. Make sure I'm on the right branch, which is lesson 4, so that's good. So then I'm going to say git add dot to add everything we just changed. Then git commit -m and say lesson 4. All right, and then I'm going to push this branch up to our online repo. So I'm going to say git push origin lesson -04. All right, and that is good. In the next lessons, we're going to do a little bit more UI stuff still. We're going to create our view for creating a new account. And yeah, so I hope you're looking forward to that, and I'll see you in the next one.